Hello and welcome to Great Power and Great Responsibility and Ultimate Spider-Man reading podcast. I did that once and then I did it again because I said A instead of Ann.
Leave both
And
in.
Ann is grammatically correct. I'm Sean.
I'm.
Nope.
Yep, there we go. This is why we practice.
This is what I said.
I'm
was gonna
Tyler
happen.
Rims.
And I'm Iron Aggro.
Okay, now take those names and reverse them on the voices, and you have the hosts of this podcast. This is a podcast where we are going to be reading through all of the hit comic book Ultimate Spider-Man, not one issue at a time, because that would take forever. There's like 100 or something issues, but every major story arc. So this episode, we are covering issues 1 through 7, which is the first story arc of Ultimate Spider-Man. Before we jump in, I want to give some background. First of all, I want to give background to like our experiences with Spider-Man, because so the whole idea of this podcast was I really wanted to do a podcast with Tyler specifically. Fuck you, Aggro. Tyler specifically, because we both really love Spider-Man and we both have varying degrees of knowledge of Spider-Man in the comic books, and this is my favorite Spider-Man run. And so I wanted to do a podcast with Tyler where we read it. And then I was talking to Aggro, and Aggro was like, Aggro offered a different perspective that I think is going to be really, really cool in this kind of reading club. And so it kind of expanded into a 3-person thing that I'm really excited to do because I also just love you, Iron Aggro.
Wow.
I said your full legal name. And yeah,
It's
I'm a
Mr. Go to
huge
you.
Mr. Go. I'm a huge Spider-Man fan. I read a bunch of the comics. I probably have the most comic experience with Spider-Man of the three of us. And I love Spider-Man in all forms of media, and that's me. Which one of you wants to go next?
I'll go. I love Spider-Man, but I'm mostly like a TV show movie kind of Spider-Man guy. Lord knows I don't want to read the comics right now, especially not the main
There's-
continuity.
They're so bad. They're so bad. Maybe that's like a special bonus episode in the future.
Oh, no.
I do delve a lot into the Spider-Verse event, and the Ghost Spider comics are really good, and I've never read Ultimate Spider-Man, but I have played the game, which is tainted a little bit because he is voiced by Drake Bell, but that's okay.
Yikes. The game does relate to what happens in this comic book.
I assume so.
Yeah, they didn't
Huh.
just use the name. It's not canon, but it picks up after a certain point in the comic book and gives like a kind of what if scenario for what could have happened after that point.
Yeah.
Aggro?
I have never read a Spider-Man comic book ever, but he's probably my favorite superhero.
Yeah.
Probably.
I think that's
I've
a
seen
fun
all the
perspective.
movies, watched a lot of the shows. My very first Spider-Man was Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends,
Ooh.
where he hung out with Iceman and that one fire girl, and I,
Yep.
for a long time, thought the two of them were, like, staple Spider-Man characters. Young me was very sad to find out they never were in anything else together ever again.
Mhm.
I don't even know that girl's name.
Her name, I think it's Starfire.
Firestar.
No,
Firestar?
that's DC.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
oh yeah, Starfire is
Starfire's
Teen
Teen
Titans.
Titan.
Yeah, I was close. I got the sides mixed up.
Well, I love Spider-Man, but like I don't know why I've never read a comic. It just when as a kid it seemed expensive as a hobby,
It is.
and then when I grew up, the only Western comics I have ever read are I've read a lot of
Fucking
them, okay?
weeb. You
Weeb, yes.
fucking loser.
The only Western comics I've ever read are the first volume of Batgirl, New 52 run.
Okay.
The first 2.5 volumes of Miss Marvel,
Okay.
and I own the omnibus of Alias.
Okay. Brian Michael Bendis.
Yes.
So, background for this comic book. It is written by Brian Michael Bendis. It is drawn by Mark Bagley for most of its run. I want to say like 110 issues or something. And then Stuart Immonen takes over for, I want to say, the rest of it.
Can I ask why?
I think they just got, I think like he drew for 110 issues. That's like 10 years. Like I legitimately just think it was like, I'm done, like
Mm-hmm.
I've done this for so long. I think it was it was until issue 100. He did 110 issues. So I don't think there was any bad blood or anything. I mean, Mark Bagley is a super popular Spider-Man artist. He drew Amazing Spider-Man for a long time as well. The main line. But pretty much the whole idea of Ultimate Spider-Man is that this is the kind of backstory. Bill Jemas, who was the big guy at Marvel at the time, was like, we have a lot of shit going on in the universe. Like, we've got 40 years of history, and that is off-putting to new readers. So he really wanted a essentially new continuity that could get new readers interested, that didn't have all the baggage of the last 40 years. And who better to introduce that new continuity with than Spider-Man? And Brian Michael Bendis was popular. I think he'd already done Alias at this point.
Mhm.
But regardless, bigger on the indie scene, I believe. I don't think he had done anything to this size in at Marvel before. But Bendis will become, after this, like the guy at Marvel. He writes this, and then a couple years later, he relaunches the Avengers and writes like fucking, I think, most of the big mainline continuity events outside of Civil War in the 2010s. Like he writes Avengers Disassembled, House of M, Secret War, Secret Invasion. Like the only really big 2000s Marvel event that I can think of that he didn't write is Civil War.
I know a lot of those words.
Yeah, Secret Invasion is a show that's starting.
Apparently the worst rated one, which is weird.
Yeah.
That's crazy. I don't believe it.
Yeah.
But okay.
Yeah. That show's gonna be nothing like the comic book.
No, not at all.
But yeah, that is essentially what this was. It was like let's get new readers in, and it's not gonna be convoluted. It eventually would become convoluted because as they start to expand the universe, that is what naturally happens. But at least Ultimate Spider-Man by itself stands on its own, as far as I can remember, pretty well. And like I said at the beginning, this is my favorite Spider-Man thing ever. Like, this is to me definitive Spider-Man. And I think I could make a good argument that if you look at Spider-Man in pop culture, this might be the definitive Spider-Man story. A lot of things take from this. So we could talk about that, especially in this volume, as we talk about what happens in the first story arc. But I want to hear from you guys before we like dive in and we go issue by issue. We'll start with you, Tyler. Like, how'd you feel about the first 7 issues of Ultimate Spider-Man?
I like them. I got me asking a couple of questions.
Okay.
Obviously, one of the big reasons we're here, right, is for Miles Morales, right?
Uh-huh.
And I was like, is there not a Miles Morales in the 616? There is. He's just like a different guy.
Is there really? I didn't realize that there was a Miles Morales before.
He's not like a black kid. He's like a Latino dude.
Okay.
And he goes by Ultimatum, and he considers Wilson Fisk his best friend.
Huh.
But he's
I'm
just really
very
good.
confused right now.
There's a lot of changes that I think were interesting, but also of course a lot of familiar things. And I like his origin here.
Okay. And you say like a lot of familiar things, and I think that they are familiar because so many things take from this. Like,
Yeah, that's the thing. Is this? My experience with this is going. I've seen every single set of this plot point over and over and over again, and I'm sure it's from this one. So it's good. Don't get me wrong.
yeah,
But going through it was just kind of, oh well, it's Spider-Man.
I know a lot of these things down to specific scenes that we'll talk about have been ripped from this for adaptations. But yeah, I think that as we go on, this is obviously like the introductory for 7 issues. As we go on, and it starts to like we get to the part that the movies don't ever touch. That's when there might be more like, what the fuck is
unique
happening?
things.
You know?
We already got Mutant Green Goblin, which we never see in adaptions.
Yeah, there's an interesting take on
Well,
Green Goblin. Well, he's in Spider-Verse like this, I think. But
Oh, for 2 seconds.
Yeah, at the very beginning. But yeah, okay. So issue number 1 is titled Powerless. And it starts, so the format of the podcast, if you can't tell yet, is I'm going to ask them what they thought about the 7 issues, and then we're going to go issue by issue, and I have like a page summary of every issue or half a page summary of every issue, and we'll talk about them as we go through them.
I have roughly 1 note per an issue.
Cool.
I have a couple notes per issue.
And I also have the issue up on the side just so that I can refer to it if I need to. So issue 1 Powerless starts with Norman Osborn, who I misspelled the first name of for about half of this. I was spelling Normon for some reason. I was tired.
Yeah,
Don't ask me why.
Yeah, I don't know. That's not how you spell Norman
Nope,
at all.
it's not. But you know what the craziest
Ramon.
part is? It didn't, like the red squigglies didn't show up underneath. So I just kept doing it. I was like, yeah, Google says that it's right, so it must be right.
True.
But Norman Osborn is at his lab at Osborn Industries, not Oscorp, Osborn Industries,
Huh.
experimenting on a spider with his new wonder drug, which is titled Oz. He's distracted by his lawyer, and we see the spider escape. But during this whole scene, I think immediately you get some of the kind of humor that Bendis is very known for, where like Norman is like on the phone with his lawyer, and he's like, I don't know, he's being a wise ass, and a lot of people in Ultimate Spider-Man like to be wise asses.
Yeah, I can tell.
We cut to Peter Parker at the mall, who's, being a nerd. He's being picked on by Flash Thompson and Flash's best friend named Kong, who we're going to see more of as we continue.
Yeah, who the hell is Kong?
Kong
Yeah, I was
is
gonna say.
Kong is cool. I like Kong a lot. I don't know that he's in anything but this. But I really Kong as a character, I think, is a really great addition to the Spider-Man origin.
He's a cool, buddy guy, I guess.
He's a
very
cool-
sad when Peter couldn't play basketball anymore.
Yeah, he's a cool buddy guy to Flash, and also acts as he's not as bad as Flash.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he's almost a bridge to make Flash a little more sympathetic throughout these issues. Through Kong, which I think is pretty good. But they're picking on them. Mary Jane is talking to, I want to say that's Liz Allen. I'm pretty sure that's Liz.
That's Liz.
Yeah.
Also, smart Mary Jane. That's rare. That's rare.
Yes, Brainy Jane.
I'll be honest, I've not most of the Spider-Man media I've consumed. I don't feature Mary Jane very heavily outside of or at least not like normal Mary Jane, like the movie Mary Jane and the PS4 Spider-Man Mary Jane seem very different than what I've seen of comic MJ.
Yeah, in the mainline continuity, she's very much like model girlfriend. Actress model girlfriend, and I think that
more like a sister,
Jesus Christ. I forgot they said that in I got so confused and I was like, nope, that was a line that was in Amazing Spider-Man recently. Anyways, but I think that Bendis goes for a more down-to-earth and relatable character in this one. I like Mary Jane a lot in Ultimate Spider-Man. I think she's great. But, Peter gets nailed in the face by a taco, and everybody's kind of making fun of him, and then Uncle Ben shows up. And immediately, I feel like Uncle Ben is more present in this than in most adaptations that we see of him.
Yeah, you get to see him.
Yes, I have
outside
my
of the house.
My note: the Chad square-jawed Uncle Ben.
Dude, he is kind of a Chad in this. He shows up. He calls MJ to sit with them. He's like, "What's going on? How are things going with you two?" I really like that. It feels like in this, obviously, Uncle Ben exists to die, but as we go through it, it feels less so. He feels more like a character and less like a plot device in this than I think he does in most other Spider-Man media.
Yeah.
He's definitely still.
Usual.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. He's definitely still a plot device in this, but I think more care is given to him than in most other things.
Yeah.
We cut to school where Peter is still being bullied. And he gets rescued by Harry Osborn. And Harry isn't super hopeful for Peter.
No, he's not.
No.
he just is kind of like, look, just deal with it. But he does believe in Peter. Like he says to him, these guys have peaked yesterday. You're going to be the shit. You're going to be a big brainy guy. You're going to have a big company and you're going to thrive in life. And these guys are done, But Peter's like,
and then he also says, "Go do my homework."
Go do my
after
homework. And Peter's also like, hey man, could you tell him to stop? And he's like, no, I can't do that.
No way.
We see Peter.
That'd make too much sense.
Yeah, I'd be too good of a friend if I did that. I'm a rich kid. I don't do that kind of thing. We see Peter at gym where he sucks at basketball, and Flash is making fun of Uncle Ben, which I think is a perfect way to make people not like Flash Thompson.
Yeah.
Nobody, you don't touch the Uncle Ben button, And then we go back to the Parker home where Aunt May is psychoanalyzing Peter and trying to diagnose him with an anxiety disorder.
Yeah, I was about to say that was a note.
Where
What?
where and Uncle Ben is just like, I think he's fine. He's a contemplative little man. He's all right. He's like, leave the kid alone. Leave me alone. I really love Uncle Ben in this. And so that scene ends and Harry comes over. They're in the basement. You can kind of see this. I really love this spread of Peter's basement that you get on one of the pages that really gives you a good idea of the spacing of it all. You can see the staircase that leads up into the house, and then you can see there's another staircase that goes out like I don't know, what is a cellar door or whatever, goes out the back into the yard.
I like the whole lab setup in the basement.
And he's got a cool lab. He's got like he's got a 2000s computer. Harry comes over, like I said, Peter is explaining that his father left him a lot of science equipment after he died in a plane crash, so kind of explaining why he has access to this lab. And he talks about a specific adhesive formula that Peter is trying to figure out, which I wonder what that could end up being.
What could it be?
Yeah, the molecular adhesive, dude.
Yeah.
Probably not important.
And I'm sure you guys noticed in this, at least the first issue, I don't know if it continues, but Mark Bagley does this thing where whenever Peter's in the zone, it like zooms in on him and it's just like a spotlight around him.
Mm-hmm.
And I really like the way that looks. So Harry goes home. He's trying to talk to his dad, but he just kind of gets sent away. His mother pulls him away. Or no, he's sent away by, not his mother. It's the assistant. The assistant pulls him away. Norman Osborn is not a good father.
Yeah.
What?
What?
The model dad.
What?
Provides for his child.
Yeah, he's just working hard to provide for his kid. And the next day, Peter's class goes on a trip to Osborn Industries, and he, as he must, is bitten by a radioactive spider.
Out of nowhere.
Out of nowhere. Like, they really don't lead up to it at all.
Yeah, no, it's just like, oh, he's there. Oh, bam, spider.
Which, that might be the fastest paced thing in this entire 7-page origin.
Yeah.
Like, we take our time on stuff, but he gets bitten like that in the first issue.
You know this part. We're just going to skip past
We're
it.
going to get, he gets bitten. What happens afterwards is where we're going to expand and make it interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And I love Kong kills the spider. Kong stomps on it.
That was cool. He's very proud of it.
Yeah. People call Peter some not nice words. It's 2000. They're going to continue to do that. And Peter freaks out, passes out, and then wakes up back on the school bus. And we cut back to, and I think Peter and MJ's relationship in this is already immediately cute. Like, he's having a bad time, and she kind of just puts her hand on his shoulder, and you can see he's got a grin that only a teenage boy would have when being touched by a girl for the first time.
Yeah.
Norman is at the lab being told about the incident and somehow finds a way to blame it on Harry.
Yeah.
I don't know. He says Harry shows up and something turns to crap. What a shocker.
I mean, he's not wrong.
Yeah. Man, is
Harry was there.
Is Agro's role in this to
Harry
support
did it. happened to be there.
to support Norman Osborn's
I'm
abusive
the
behavior.
Norman Osborn stan.
They're kind of talking about like what happens if the Parkers sue, and Norman is like, you know what, pick up the hospital bill, and they're like, that isn't that us like admitting like that we did something wrong, and he's like, no, I want to study this kid, I want to keep an eye on him, so we're gonna pick up the hospital bill. They mention how at the beginning like they want to go into human trials but they can't, so this is like, well, we just got our human trial. Back at home, he's sleeping while May and Ben are watching. Ben says that they aren't going to sue anybody. He says, I don't want to. He's like, look, Harry is his only friend. We can't ruin that relationship to make money off of Norman Osborn.
I think they think they're much closer than they are.
Yeah. I think that he is still his only friend, even if
Probably,
even if the relationship isn't that good.
But MJ.
There's MJ as well. We go back to school where Peter is being made fun of for passing out. MJ's friends are trying to get her to cut ties with him. I know Liz is the blonde. I feel like the other girl also has a name, but I don't know if they have actually said it in the 7 issues. She just looks familiar, so I was like, is she also a named character? But I'm honestly not sure. I didn't write it down in my notes if she is.
I don't remember, but I don't think that means much.
Yeah. Kong goes to kick Peter in the ass. And and Peter grabs his leg, fucking flips him upside down, and Kong lands face first into the ground. And then Peter passes out again.
Going through some growth spurts.
Yeah, that's what's happening. He wakes up at the hospital where the doctor is like, hey, dude, you on drugs? Peter's like, no.
You can tell me if you're on drugs, son.
Well, he's like, you can tell me if you're on drugs, but he's also like, you have to tell me if you're on drugs because we're gonna test you. And we'll find out when we do that.
He's very forceful about it.
Yeah. And they're trying to take blood from him, but they're having a hard time. He's got thick skin. And the lady takes the blood vial to be processed, and then a fucking scary looking dude just walks by and takes the blood and returns to Norman Osborn with it.
He snatches it.
Yeah, his name is Shaw.
He puts the fake one there, too.
Yeah. Look, Norman Osborn is nothing if not thorough. And they find out that the Oz is killing Peter. And they don't want the project to get shut down, so Norman is like, all right, Shaw, take care of Peter Parker.
Yeah, go fucking kill him.
Car accident.
Go fucking kill him. And we go to Peter at home being told by Aunt May that he has to eat banana bread. And Uncle Ben's like, I would like a piece. She goes, no. And I love the close-ups on their eyes as they're looking at each other. I think, again, like, this just sells me on, like, May and Ben's relationship so
they
much
have a
more.
good, like, relationship
And I think
for what little we get.
it makes you feel so much more once, everything inevitably happens.
Mhm.
The next day, Peter's walking to school when Shaw tries to hit him with his car.
Yeah.
And Peter flips over it, and Peter runs up to be like, hey man, are you good? He goes, Mister, oh my God, are you okay? And Shaw pulls out a gun to finish the job, but before Peter can get there, something tells him, you know what, maybe you should run.
Yeah, his little Peter tingle.
He gets his little Peter
Tells
tingle
him
above him.
to get the fuck out of there.
Yeah, get out of there. Shaw tells Norman, what happened? And Norman is like, don't stop it. Don't kill him. We're not going to kill him. We're going to study him. And then back at Peter's house, he's freaking out in the basement. He's kind of putting everything together about what happened to him. He's looking at his blood. And then May and Ben come home, or from whatever they're doing. I assume they both work. And talk to him about how he missed school that day. And then he kind of gives them some attitude before being sent to his room by Ben. He just kind of says, I didn't feel like going to school today, all right? It's like, oof. And he also rips the paint off the wall with his
He
sticky
does. That was
fingers.
a good shot. I
His
really liked
fingers.
that panel.
Yeah. Ben says, look, this will pass. He'll be okay. And May is like, I'll bring him some banana bread later. And Ben goes, I think getting sent to his room was enough. I think that was bad enough. And then the kind of end of the issue is, Peter wakes up in the morning, looks at the sky or the ceiling, and then climbs up onto the ceiling and just goes, cool. And that is the end of issue 1.
He's Spider-Man.
He's Spider-Man. Issue 2 is titled Growing Pains. Peter's at school. He's kind of freaking the fuck out in his chair. He breaks it. Which I think every time he breaks a chair in this is so funny to me.
Yeah, it happens a
yeah.
lot.
It happens a couple times. Flash and Kong make fun of him for it, as they are, and Peter is starting to get really aggressive back at them.
I will say,
Yeah.
Flash has the worst fucking haircut I've ever seen.
He does. He
It's
does.
so bad.
He does. It's pretty bad.
Just go to a barber, dude.
It is. What do you think Kong is bald by choice?
I hope so.
I hope so.
He's really young, like
That'd be bad for him. I mean, hey, Flash. Harry did say he peaked last week, so
yeah.
we know what happened last week.
He needs that cancer.
Oh.
I almost spit out my drink.
Anyways, Peter gets sent to cool down and Flash gets detention. And Peter is realizing that, he's a lot stronger now. He's looking at his muscles. He's like, whoa, what the fuck is that about? At gym, Flash is hitting on MJ and it's pissing Peter off. And we get not a scene that is like used in Amazing Spider-Man, but they use kind of a similar scene in Amazing Spider-Man.
It's very similar. That's exactly what I thought of.
Amazing Spider-Man, he breaks the backboard of the net, of the hoop, and in this, he just fucking smacks Flash Thompson in the face with a basketball.
Yeah. What a giga chat, dude.
And
Stop harassing people.
And Flash is like, he swings on Peter. And, later on, he's like, look, nobody can help you after school. And then we get a fight out in the yard, which this does get a slightly more direct adaptation in The Amazing Spider-Man, where Flash is trying to beat on Peter. Peter's dodging all of them. And then he catches Flash's punch and breaks Flash's hand by catching the punch. And he is like as freaked out about it as everybody else is. He's crying, which I think is a nice touch.
Yeah, that fits.
Yeah.
Should be.
Kong,
Kind of going through a lot.
I like how they draw the broken hand.
yeah, it looks really fucked up. Also, I just love how Bagley draws faces. I think he draws faces really well. After school, Kong is telling the story to Harry, and Norman is being a creep and listening in from the other room. And Norman asks Harry to invite Peter on a personal tour of the lab.
What could go wrong?
What could go wrong? Flash's parents threaten to sue the Parkers if they don't pay for Flash's medical bills. And May and Ben don't understand what's happening with Peter. Like, you were such a sweet kid. And then he kind of snaps at them and he says, you taught me to be a wimpy loser like you two.
Damn.
Like, and through it all, Ben is just so calm. He's just says growing pains. That's all it is. Like, he believes in Peter, which has been nice. And then Peter listens in as May and Ben discuss how they don't have the money to pay the hospital bills. And that night, he wakes up in the middle of the night and he sneaks out to go practice his acrobatics in an abandoned warehouse, which again,
Yeah, in his best like professional dancer outfit.
yeah, he's like I think he's just wearing like sweatpants and a black shirt, but it definitely looks like a leotard or something. And this is another scene that gets done in Amazing Spider-Man. Peter in that movie does go to a warehouse and practice all the acrobatic stuff. The next day, he apologizes to his aunt and uncle. They all make up. They're a nice, sweet family. And also, he's not wearing his glasses anymore. Peter and Harry are on the tour of Osborn Industries, where Harry introduces Peter to Doc Ock.
Yeah, so
that's him. That's the guy.
When I was reading this, I saw this guy's face. Like, oh, is that fucking Doc Ock?
Mm-hmm.
Like, no way. I'm just being weird about it, right? And then I read literally the next bubble. I was like, oh, okay, no.
I love it.
That is him.
Because Harry literally says, yo, Doc Ock. And he introduces himself as Dr. Otto Octavius. He looks a bit more like a Chad than he ever has, I think. If you look at him, he's got that square. He's got that square jaw going on. You know.
I can see it.
And Harry like immediately is hitting on one of the other scientists. He says, "Hey, Darlene, where you been?" And she goes, "Waiting for you to hit puberty, Junior." And then Otto and Peter are talking. Otto is asking him about any side effects after the spider bite, and then he's like, "You know what? We should just run a test anyways." And then just fucking takes his blood.
Yeah,
Yeah,
just
they
like
just got
blood.
right to it. No waiting, no subtlety. Just we're taking your blood now.
Yeah.
Don't ask about it.
And
It's fine.
Harry's like, "What the fuck happened?" I was so distracted by being a horny teenager. I don't know what happened to my best friend. And Peter books it. He gets out of there. And then later on, Otto tells Norman that the initial deterioration they had seen is reversing itself and that Peter has stabilized. And Norman says that we should repeat it on himself.
What could go wrong?
What could go wrong? And that is the end of issue 2. In issue 3 is titled Wannabe, and that is where I started writing Norman's name correctly.
No more Norman.
No. Norman, I have come to bargain. Norman is presenting a report on the spider bite incident to his scientists, and he is explaining that he wants to inject himself with the Oz compound combined with his own DNA. Because he says, like, look, the Oz compound combined with, spider DNA gave him the strength of a spider. So if we give, myself the Oz compound combined with my own strengths, I'll become fucking unstoppable. Because he's a narcissist.
Oh boy, yeah, he's got his own issues.
We cut to UCW Spankdown.
Yeah,
Where you didn't like this?
That's fine. That's a name choice.
Where they are watching Crusher Hogan do a promo, and
there's nothing like
no,
Macho Man.
No. And the promoter is saying, $500 for anyone who can take him down. And Kong is immediate.
$500 whole dollars.
Yeah, $500 whole dollars. And Kong immediately is like, "I got this. Get me in there." And they're like, "Dude, you're not 21. Like, get out of here. You got to be 21 for insurance purposes." Flash takes a shot at Peter. And then Peter goes, "You know what, Flash? How about you hop in the ring? And then when you lose, your family can sue his family." And MJ...
That is a very, very good line.
It's great. And I love Kong is like, he fucking got you.
Yeah, that's the best part of it.
He's like,
Yeah,
the student has become the master, Sensei Thompson. And then MJ said, yeah.
I like MJ's old army shirt.
Yeah, it's great. And she goes, "I got to get out of here before I slip and hurt myself on the testosterone." Which is a very teenage girl response to all of this. Back at home, Peter is trying on a homemade version of the Spider-Man suit, something that we kind of get something similar in Homecoming.
Yeah.
Yeah, we get this classic suit. Sean, if you remember,
Oh, okay.
when we did our Spider-Man suit ranking,
Oh.
do you remember
Yes,
where
I
we
remember
ranked
this one.
this suit?
This is a good thing. I don't remember where we put it.
Okay, so we put the suit in D tier.
It's not great.
But I will say that you, Sean, specifically wanted to put it in C tier because of it was from this comic.
Oh, okay, fair enough. And I do think, like, look, the suit doesn't look
It's
good.
not. It's
but-
not great, but it's not supposed to look great.
Yeah, no, I think that
Yeah.
it fits its purpose perfectly. And we go back to another UCW show, and Peter just fucking jumps in the ring. He goes, "Hey, medicine ball, you ready for me?" And the guy's like, "You can't just do that. This is like what I love about this is I think that Bendis is aware that wrestling is fake. And so the wrestlers are aware that wrestling is fake, but Peter isn't. So I feel like everybody in this comic throughout this whole wrestling arc reacts to Peter like, this isn't what's supposed to be fucking happening. And Peter is like, no, I'm a real wrestler. um, and he just fucking picks up Crusher Hogan and slams him into the ground face first. And Peter just takes the dude's money and leaves. And the host is like, look, if you come back on Monday night, I'll put you in another show and I'll continue to pay you in cash. And then back at home, Ben and May find a note from the school saying that the faculty had decided to help with the hospital bills. How nice of them.
Yeah,
Well,
that's such a nice
generous
school.
people.
That's definitely what happened. The next day at school, all the kids are talking about how Spider-Man took down Crusher Hogan. MJ is trying to get Peter to study with her, but he's getting caught up in his own hype. The basketball coach asks him to come take Flash's spot because, he broke Flash's hand. And Peter goes and drops 114 points on the other team.
Yeah, that's you gotta be less obvious than that, Peter.
You have to watch The Incredibles.
Yeah,
Peter.
exactly. It hadn't
You
come
gotta
out
be
yet. It hadn't come
you
out
gotta
yet.
be pretty good, but not too good.
Mhm.
You know.
Yeah. He did not have the example
You
of the
just
Incredibles
watched
yet.
The Incredibles. Maybe Uncle Ben would have died.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe. If only Brad Bird had made The Incredibles 4 years earlier or whatever, then maybe Uncle Ben would have lived. MJ tries to get him to study with her again, but he can't because of the wrestling gig, and she gets mad and leaves, which this is like classic Peter Parker. He's got something else he has to do, and so he has to blow off his friends and family, and his relationships are harmed for it. Back at the wrestling match, he immediately goes off script. Like, even Hogan goes, this wasn't in the script. This isn't what I signed on for. And Peter just goes, quit your whining.
Nah, shut up.
Shut up. And he becomes the UCW champion. And the ring announcer nicknames him the Amazing Spider-Man, the Spectacular Spider-Man.
The best Spider-Man.
The best Spider-Man. He gets paid, and the guy tells him to come back again on Friday before giving him a new suit.
Oh, he got his suit from here.
I did not expect his suit to
Dude.
just get given to him by a random guy.
I also
Ring announcer junior, dude.
Unnamed.
I also forgot about this until it happened. And then
Imagine being that guy and seeing Spider-Man fly around the city.
wait, I did that. Where's my fucking royalties? And then back home, there's another collection of cash from the quote-unquote school. And upstairs, Peter is trying on the next iteration of his suit. And then at Osborn Industries, Harry walks into this high-tech lab right as they're about to start the experiment on Norman. And
Norman, I'm gonna be honest, dude. When you're doing human trials, maybe don't start with yourself.
and you know what?
I mean, what life to risk rather than your own? No others at heart.
Anyone else's life.
I
If you're that kind of person, you know.
I was so caught up in the interpersonal drama of Harry Osborn and his father that I didn't notice until just now when looking at this that Otto is wearing the arms during this scene.
Yeah, he got the
And,
arms on.
and he's using them for this.
What could go wrong?
And well, something starts to go wrong as Norman is dragged away and the issue ends. But there's a close up of Norman Osborn freaking out and then a close up of Otto just smiling. Issue 4 is titled With Great Power. It starts with a news report covering the aftermath of the experiment at Osborn Industries. Norman's assistant is dead. Rip that blonde guy. We barely knew you. And Harry has been injured. But we do see Otto is groaning, not dead. So he's still around. But I love the big page of just fucking carnage in the aftermath of
Yeah, it's really good.
of all this. On Friday, Peter beats up Crusher Hogan again, and the crowd is just absolutely losing it for him. After the show, it's discovered that somebody robbed the show, and they blame Peter, who runs away. And with his wrestling career cut short, he decides to look for a normal job to make some cash. The promotion getting robbed, does that happen in that happens in the Raimi movie, right?
Yeah, because they combine that with the
What happens
him
next.
walking past the couple. Yeah.
Yes.
They combine that as one thing.
Yes. On his way home, he runs into the aftermath of somebody robbing a deli, and he lets the guy get away. And the guy, the deli guy's like, "Hey, why didn't you stop him?" And he goes, "I got my own problems, big guy."
I'm sure that won't come back to him at all.
No. When he gets home, May and Ben ask where he's been, and they are upset because his English grade over the course of like a week and a half has gone from an A to a D, which is crazy. That was quick. And Peter says, "I have different priorities now," which
That's the wrong answer.
Peter-
That's the wrong answer.
Peter throughout this comic is speedrunning how to piss off your parental figures. Like, it's insane.
He had his entire rebellious phase within a 2-week time frame.
Yeah. And the fight escalates, and then Peter runs off. He's running through the city, confused about why he's feeling the way that he is. And so he goes to Kong to see if he can crash at his house. And Kong's like, "Yeah, dude, sure, parents aren't home." And then we cut to... Now, here's one thing that I kind of was like, I was unclear of how much time had passed at this point, because we cut to a house party. And I want to say it's the next day, because
They say Peter crashed there.
they say Peter crashed there, but
Yeah, I feel like it's at least that early.
but Ben makes it sound like he's only been gone all night when he talks to him, when Ben shows up. So that's why I was kind of like, huh? But anyways, there's a party going on, and the blonde girl could not have been Liz Allen, because this is Liz Allen. The redhead is Liz.
Yeah.
Or I don't know if she's a redhead. I don't know what color that's supposed to be. Maybe it's supposed to be redhead.
It looks orange, so
Blonde girl, Ultimate Spider-Man. Who is that? Is she just a random person? She might just be a random character. But this is Liz Allen here.
More like Riz Allen, because
yeah.
she's putting on the moves.
Well, she's drunk.
She's also
Yeah.
drunk, absolutely.
And is hitting on Peter, and she goes in for the kiss, and that is when MJ walks in. And MJ goes to leave, upset by what she's seen, and Peter chases after her and runs right into Uncle Ben, who just hits him with the "let's go, ... and just the disappointed face of a father figure. Happy Father's Day, by the way. Ben asks Peter what's gotten into him recently as he drags him away from the party, and then he gives him the speech, which I'm going to read here. Ben says, "Your father had a philosophy that he held to pretty strongly, and it's one that served him very, very well. He believed that if there were things in this world that you had to offer, things that you did well, better than anyone else, things that you could do that helped people or made people feel better about themselves, well, he believed that it wasn't just a good idea to do those things. He believed it was your responsibility to do those things. Don't try to be something else. Don't try to be less. Great things are going to happen to you in your life, Peter. Great things. And with that will come great responsibility. Do you understand?" And I know that a lot of people got mad at Amazing Spider-Man and Spider-Man. Well, I guess this happens in Civil War, not in Spider-Man Homecoming. But they don't immediately do the great power, great responsibility thing. They instead kind of find a new way to say it. Which is crazy, because the great power, great responsibility thing does not exist in the origin story. It is not in Amazing Fantasy number 15. It was added after the fact. And even in Ultimate Spider-Man, they do the exact thing that they do in or in Civil War and in Amazing Spider-Man, where Uncle Ben gives a different version of the speech.
Yeah, where he says the longest thing he could have possibly said.
But I love it. I don't know how you guys felt about it, but I love the kind of...
No, like it makes sense.
We're going to say that it feels like more of an actual fatherly imparting of wisdom, rather than just, here's a fun, snappy catchphrase,
Yeah, I like it. On the Uncle Ben speech tier list.
Oh,
It's in the middle.
okay.
It'll
also just-
for me. It'll never beat they'll never pass Raimi, but that's almost certainly because of the actor rather than the
he's-
actual speech.
He's so much
If I
better than those
remember
movies.
correctly, the speech wasn't even first given by an Uncle Ben.
I don't think so.
It's just like Peter inner monologue type stuff.
Yeah. he might remember it as being one time Ben told me, but it's not like it's not a real thing that happens.
Mhm.
But after all of that, Peter says again the most teenage boy thing, that has lost his father, and he goes, "My father, if he knew so much, then where the hell is he?" And then Ben says the last thing that he says about his nephew is, "Come on, Peter, snap out of it. You can do it." And we cut to somewhere else in the city where some weird monster thing is running around. Did you guys immediately pick up on what this is?
Yes.
Yeah.
Were you surprised at all by the approach that they took to Green Goblin?
No.
Yeah, I mean, like, initially, but then I remember the one scene from, like, I know I've seen him be this. I've, like, never,
Mhm.
like, consumed the media, but I've seen pictures of him being a
Mhm.
giant green monster guy.
Mhm.
Very different than normal because, he's, from what I've seen, normally he's, like, the manipulative, behind the scenes guy at the same time, whereas he can't really do both in this Hulk form.
Mhm.
At least,
He just looks
for now.
looks more like a gargoyle than a goblin.
He
you know?
does.
Yeah.
And this is something that is going to be a theme throughout all of Ultimate Spider-Man. When Bendis was writing this, um, he tries hard to tie everything back into Peter Parker. And so a lot of the theme of the Ultimate Universe is of geneticism, like genetics. A lot of the things that are created throughout the Ultimate Universe that might have been done by technology in the main universe is instead, or a technology or alien or whatever, is instead a genetic thing in the Ultimate Universe.
I will say I really do like, Green Goblin's supposed to be the rival of Spider-Man, and I like that they both get their powers from the same exact source.
Yes, I think it's cool. And elsewhere in elsewhere in the city, Peter decides to come clean to May and Ben, and we get this awesome page of him jumping off of a rooftop with the lightning striking in the background. And he arrives back at home to find the police outside his house. And finally, at the end of issue 4, Uncle Ben has been killed. Was that surprising for you guys? Like it took
Uncle
4
Ben died?
issues? No, that it
Oh.
took 4 issues for it to happen.
That seems about right.
Okay. It happens in
Yeah,
15
I mean-
pages in the original.
Uh,
Yeah, it has to be after their talk and their fight.
Yeah.
yeah, that's exactly. As soon as the speech happened, then dead.
Yeah.
Like, okay, we're done with you now.
Yeah.
Trash.
Issue 5 is titled Life Lessons, and we start at the Osborn Mansion. All right, my cat just leapt through something. We start at the Osborn Mansion where Harry wakes up. His house is on fire. His mom has been burnt to death, and the Green Goblin jumps out a window before blowing the house up with like
His
a
mom,
fireball.
who never got a single page on screen before
Yeah.
dying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like how the first thing Goblin does is kill try to kill his family.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Until that point, I assumed she had either died off screen at some point before or left or something. But no, she was just there off screen
Yeah.
and dead.
And then dead, and then firebombed by her husband. But Harry survives. At the Parker household, May is explaining what happened to Uncle Ben. They had been up, heard a noise, and they thought that it was Peter coming home. Someone came in with a gun and asked where their money was. Ben said, "You probably have more money than we do," and the guy shot him and ran. MJ's mother is there with them, and she says that Peter and May will stay with them tonight. But Peter overhears one of the cops on the radio saying that there was an attempted robbery 2 blocks away and that the guy is held up in a warehouse. So he runs
What?
off.
What a crazy panel!
Which one?
This full page spread with
Oh.
the outline and
Yeah.
just the body bag, dude.
Yeah. I think it's great. And you see Mary Jane's mother sitting with them. Yeah, Mark Bagley is my favorite Spider-Man artist. I think a lot of people would agree with that as well.
He is my favorite Spider-Man artist I've seen.
Yeah, you've only seen the one. So Peter suits up, goes to the warehouse where the police have the guy surrounded. He jumps the guy, and then when he sees the guy's face, he realizes it is the man that he let go earlier. The police are deciding whether to go in or not, and we get our first appearance of Captain, I think George Stacy is. I think his first name is George.
Yeah, his first name is George.
We get the first appearance of Captain Stacy, and Peter throws the guy out the window and lowers him down on a rope because he does not have organic webbing, because that's fucking stupid. Raimi didn't steal that from any comic book, but he did ruin the comic books for like a little bit.
Blame James Cameron.
Because fucking, I'll blame Sam Raimi if I want to blame Sam Raimi.
Okay.
Because in the comics, in the mainline continuity, they did retcon it so that he had organic webbing after the movie came out. In what is one of the stupidest decisions they have ever made.
It was fine for the movie.
still
I
a
liked
thing?
it for the movie.
No. They retconned it back
Go back.
eventually. But there was a short period in the 2000s where it was organic. Stacy sees Peter on the side of the building before he leaps away. Peter finds a building and remembers the last words that Uncle Ben said to him, and he realizes that his gift is to stop crimes and people from being hurt. And we see a montage of him saving some kids from a fire, stopping a mugging, stopping an ATM break-in, and just taking down, who I assume is a robber. But honestly, there's no context for it, so that poor guy could just be counting his payday and having Spider-Man, leap down on him.
That seems like a Spider-Man day one kind of thing to happen.
Kind of like a mistake. Like in Homecoming, when he's when everybody's yelling at him when he's just trying to do the right thing. But he says, you were right. With power comes responsibility. Absolutely. For some reason, I've been given great power, and with great power, then must come great responsibility. Peter finally comes home and finds MJ sitting out waiting for him. She says that she was worried, and he breaks down as she holds him.
Yeah, that's probably my favorite panel so far.
It's a great, great panel. I think Ultimate Spider-Man is part of the reason that I'm so mad about how MJ and Peter get treated in mainline continuity. Because I think it's done very well here. Issue 6 is called Big Time Superhero, and we get introduced to the most important character of the Spider-Man mythos, who already sounds like J.K. Simmons, J. Jonah Jameson, who is mad because the Daily Bugle reported on the Osborn fire instead of Spider-Man. And at this point, I think we're 6 months into Ultimate Spider-Man. People really like this. The Ultimate series is going to be a hit. And you can tell because we start name dropping.
Yeah.
Jameson tells Ben Urich to look into Spider-Man and tells him that the Kingpin story can wait. And Jameson says that Spider-Man is probably up to something right now. And they also name drop Murdoch. And he calls Spider-Man the new OJ.
The new OJ. I was like, whoa, hold on a second.
Which is very, very, Bendis is not afraid to date this book. He will reference pop culture.
Not at all. Very, not in a bad way.
Yeah.
But very dated.
Yeah. And I love the transition from, I bet that creepy guy is up to something that'll be our headline tomorrow. And then we just cut to Peter dancing in his underwear in the basement because he completed the web fluid formula. And he now has added little webs to his mask as well. And to his whole suit. May tells him to go to sleep or else he'll be a wreck at school. And he's like, I'll be fine. And then we hard cut to him breaking another desk at school when he wakes up. We find out that Peter has quit the basketball team, which pisses off Kong, but MJ is happy with him. So really, what does it matter?
Yeah.
And the conflict is escalating when Harry walks in looking like somebody who did not just watch a giant monster burn his house to the ground.
Yeah. He doesn't look well.
No, but he's not as freaked out as you would imagine.
He looks like he's a villain.
He looks dead inside. He says, "I'm not dead," but the look in his eyes says differently. And before they can talk too much, Peter's spider sense goes off and there's an explosion. The kids start to freak out, and Harry is like, "I know what this is." And he says, he's come for me. And I really love Kong in this because Kong picks up Harry and is also pushing MJ out of the building. And so I just like that Kong is like, let's get the fuck out of here. Like
Yeah, he seems like he's an ass, but he's not a terrible person.
he's not a bad person. Like he's trying to help his friends.
Yeah.
I think that they actually take a little bit of Kong for they take a little bit of Kong and they put him onto Flash in the movies. Because Kong in this is very much like, I love Spider-Man and inspired by Spider-Man in a way that, and in mainline continuity, Flash Thompson also goes through that arc, but in Ultimate, they give that storyline to Kong a little bit. They get outside and Harry's freaking out, and MJ is freaking out as well because she doesn't know where Peter is. And then Spider-Man leaps into the scene. We get this awesome panel, the full costume for the first time. And he goes, "Big time superhero coming through." And Kong goes, "Dude, seriously, if he blew up our school, he is totally my hero." And we go back. We see that Peter had snuck to the bathroom in the chaos and is about to change into the Spider-Man suit, but he's a smart kid. So he's like, that would be dumb. Everybody's going to ask why Spider-Man came out of the school. So he leaves out a window first, and then he goes and changes in the bushes. And name drops Captain America. He says, this can't be how Captain America does it. He is now in the school in the present. He's moving through the smoky hallway, and he sees a creature from earlier standing there. And then we get this awesome full page of just Peter looking up at the Green Goblin. And he's not very
really
green.
No.
But it's a great panel. It looks incredible. Peter starts to fight the thing, and we start to get like the quippiness that
Also,
Peter
where
has.
do you get these clothes from?
Yeah, they are very supervillain, aren't they? It's a little
You got him
weird.
from the Hulk store.
Yeah, he went to the Hulk store, Peter goes, "You wouldn't happen to be the new home ec teacher, would you?" And Peter even comments on the fact that he's a smartass when he's scared out of his mind. He keeps beating on Green Goblin, trying to move it away from the school, and eventually Green Goblin just grabs him and fucking takes him away from the school, jumping super high and finally saying Peter's last name. And we get the first good look at his face in that panel. It's a great panel, I think, of like his eyes are almost glowing. In fact, they might actually be glowing. They might not be almost. They just are glowing, I think.
They might be glowing. Jury's still out.
And then we have the last issue for this time, issue 7, Secret Identity. Peter and Green Goblin are fighting. Peter's freaking out. He manages to slingshot himself out of free fall and swings for the first time to kick Goblin in the back. They fight for a bit longer as the police start to arrive. Goblin goes to take down a police helicopter, and Peter chases him to a bridge because it's Green Goblin. We got to go to a bridge. The police start shooting at Goblin, but this only makes him angrier. He lunges for Peter, who dodges, and Goblin ends up falling off the bridge.
Yeah.
Peter wants to dive in after him, but the police won't let him, and they try to arrest him. And they start shooting at Peter, who manages to get away. Back at the school, the cops have finally found Peter from inside the building, and MJ is freaking out. Kong thinks it was the Hulk that attacked. We get another name drop. And Harry tells them that it was Norman. He says that after the experiment in the lab, Norman had turned into the Green Goblin. Norman killed Harry's mom, burnt down the house, and now is trying to kill Harry. The police take Harry away since he's freaking out, as MJ's mom and Aunt May show up. Peter realizes that Norman wasn't after Harry, but after himself, as he watches Harry get taken away. He wonders if what turned him into Spider-Man is responsible for what happened to Norman, and if it even matters at this point. But back at the bridge, bubbles rise up from the water. And that is where we end the first arc of Ultimate Spider-Man.
I don't like this green web for this issue.
Yeah. They look a little weird, don't they? Yeah.
Good introduction. I mean, like,
It's the origin story
it's the Spider-Man origin story.
told across 7 issues.
Mm-hmm.
Which to me, to me, this is the definitive Spider-Man origin story. Cause it's allowed to take its time. And I feel like you really get into it. Now, I guess I'm curious as to how you guys feel about this. Because I don't know that I've ever seen this opinion, but I'm sure that there's somebody out there that thinks that this was totally unnecessary and was a waste of time, that we didn't need 7 issues to tell this story.
I think it worked. I mean, like, I don't think spending 7 issues is stopping anything else from getting more screen time.
Mm-hmm.
If that makes sense.
If this were like a limited run type deal where we knew how many there were,
Yeah,
like
exactly.
there's 15 issues and we just spent 7 telling the origin, and then I could see why people would be mad. This is like over 100 issues.
Yep.
Like, we're not wasting any time, honestly.
This is like a long-term soap
There's no
opera.
time to waste,
Yeah.
actually.
Yeah. But yeah, that was the first arc. Next time, we are going to cover, the next arc is titled Learning Curve. It is issues 8 through 13. And we get the early days of Peter's career as Spider-Man. So,
Fun times.
I'm excited for that.
I am looking forward to seeing where it goes from here. Because, you know, the start, bit predictable, knew what was going to happen. I'm very curious to see where it goes.
He got some of his canon events out of the way. And I mean, only a couple more to go. So,
yeah.
he's almost there.
So, here's how I'll end off this episode. I'll try and see if I can think of a fun, question to ask you guys at the end of every episode. And I think this is a pretty good one for this episode. What is a Spider-Man thing that you guys have seen in either a comic book or a movie or a TV show or something that you guys are really excited to see, the ultimate version of?
When will Doc Ock take over his body?
This gotta happen.
Unfortunately, Superior Spider-Man happened after Ultimate had already finished, so I don't think
Rip.
at any point they were going to do that.
Right.
When's the Peter love triangle between him and Black Cat and
Black Cat.
Gwen and MJ? I guess that's more than a triangle, but you know what I mean.
There
Wait,
is.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, go on.
Is this the one where Black Cat throws up?
You will have to read and find out.
Yay.
So I will say you named a bunch of Peter's love interests. Ultimate Spider-Man does have another Peter love interest that I think neither of you will guess before it happens. I think you will be surprised by it.
Firestar.
I think. Oh wait, no, I know exactly who it is, so I'm not gonna say it.
Okay.
Yeah, the ones obviously off the top of my head: Gwen, Mary Jane, Liz, Black Cat, Betty Brant.
Here, Sean, I'm just gonna type it to you, and you just say yes or no.
Okay.
I don't think I know of any other love interest.
You are correct, Tyler.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh. I'm curious.
You will find out. All right. Aggro, why don't you tell the people where they can find you online?
You can find me at twitch.tv/ironaggro, youtube.com/ the Choker Bros. We do a Final Fantasy podcast and other places, but that's enough.
Tyler.
All right. You can find me everywhere at Tyler Rims. That's it.
Tyler and I do a podcast called McUnhinged. That's MC Unhinged, where we, along with our friend Shibuya, are watching the entire MCU. So you guys should go check that out. I'm on Twitter at Sean_AFK. Check me out there. This podcast is somewhere. I don't know yet.
Somewhere.
So I'll insert it when I figure that out. That's my goal for this week. After I finish some other editing stuff that I have to do. So yeah, I will see you guys next time. Bye.
Bye.
See ya.